what they saw at Gate 37. Her heels echoed across the polished terrazzo floor of Reagan National Airport with a rhythm that was both graceful and deliberate. No security escort, no press entourage, no identifying markers beyond the quiet authority in her posture. Just Camille Hartley, 53 years old, newly appointed director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, returning from a classified briefing in Seattle. The hour was late, 9:38 p.m. The air outside still held the cling of D.C.'s early summer humidity, and even inside the terminal, it felt like the walls were sweating. Camille moved like someone used to navigating invisible corridors of power, someone who had spent a lifetime deciding which words were worth speaking and which silences had more weight. Her slate gray pantsuit wasn't chosen for style. It was chosen for purpose. Her dark, shoulder-length hair was neatly swept back, and in her left hand she carried a weathered leather briefcase, the kind of item that told a story just by how tightly it was held. Inside that briefcase were documents with clearance levels so high, most Americans didn't even know they existed. As she passed Gate 37, her eyes swept the area not with urgency, just instinct. That's when she saw them. Two airport security officers near a vending kiosk, both white, both in their mid-30s. One nudged the other and nodded subtly in her direction. She didn't flinch. She didn't change her stride. But Camille Hartley had seen that look before. It felt it burn between her shoulder blades at meetings, through security lines, in high-level rooms where her name tag read director, but their eyes still read suspicion. She heard them before she felt them. "Excuse me, ma'am," one of them called out. "You traveling alone tonight?" She turned calmly, her voice measured but firm. "Yes. Is there a problem?" "We'd just like to ask a few questions," said the taller one, his accent thick with rural Virginia. "You match a description." Camille blinked. "What description?" "Middle-aged black woman. Gray suit. Carrying a briefcase. Might be in possession of sensitive materials," the other said, eyes resting just a little too long on the briefcase in her hand. Camille exhaled once lightly. "You mean I matched the description of a federal employee heading home after a full day's work?" The taller one stepped forward. "Ma'am, we're going to need to take a look inside that case." Her grip tightened. "I don't think you understand who I am," she said. "My name is Camille Hartley. I'm the director of the FBI." A silence followed, brief but sharp. The officer's lip curled slightly. "You got ID to back that up?" Without breaking eye contact, she reached into her jacket and retrieved her credentials, government-issued, complete with photo, raised seal, and a strip denoting her clearance level. She held it out. The officer didn't take it. Instead, he turned to his partner and chuckled. "She thinks flashing a fake badge is going to work on us." People were starting to notice now. A teenage girl with earbuds paused. A woman with a stroller slowed her steps. Someone pulled out a phone. "I'm not flashing anything," Camille replied calmly. "I'm following protocol and identifying myself." "That's not your call tonight," the other officer snapped. "We'll be taking you downtown. You can explain everything there." Camille didn't move, but her lips pressed together. "Then call your Homeland Security liaison, or your supervisor." Now, neither moved. One reached for her briefcase. "Do not touch that," she warned. "You have no authority to search me." "Hands where I can see them," the taller officer barked, his voice cracking through the terminal. They stepped in. She didn't resist, but she didn't help them either. She stood steady, unmoved. "You're making a mistake," she said, even as the officer twisted her arm behind her back and clipped on the cuffs. The briefcase fell to the floor with a soft thud. Gasps rippled from the crowd. Phones rose. "You have the right to remain silent," one of the officers mumbled, as if even he knew the words didn't fit this moment. Camille stood, wrist-bound, eyes forward. "Do you know what you're doing?" she asked. "Trying to keep this airport safe," came the hollow reply. "I've shown you my ID. I told you who I am. I asked you to verify my credentials," she said. "But you decided to believe your assumptions instead." Now the crowd was swelling. A TSA agent was radioing. Even a janitor had stopped mopping nearby. Then a voice cracked over one officer's radio. "Terminal B security, DHS inbound on-site. Code 542. Agents en route." The officer froze. "What's 542? his partner whispered. The older one swallowed. High-priority personnel mishandling. And suddenly Camille Hartley's name began to mean something. One officer fumbled with the keys, uncuffing her, stammering something about just procedure. She rubbed her wrists. The skin beneath the cuffs was red and raw. You better hope your chain of command is more prepared than you are, she said, retrieving her briefcase without their help. That's when a voice cut through the air. What exactly is going on here? A black man in his early 60s stepped forward. His denim jacket was worn, but his eyes were clear. This woman says she's the director of the FBI. I know she is. I saw her testifying last week on C-SPAN. Neither officer replied. A TSA supervisor arrayed a woman in navy fatigues with a badge pinned to her chest. Ma'am, we're sorry, she said quietly to Camille. We weren't informed of any detention. You don't need to apologize for their mistake, Camille replied. I complied. Camille continued louder for the crowd to hear. I identified myself. I showed credentials. I did not raise my voice. I did not resist. And I asked them to verify. They refused. The TSA officer paled. We're going to need a report. Before anyone could respond, two men in dark suits pushed through the gathering. DHS agents. Director Hartley, the lead agent said. I'm fine, she said. They're not. Within minutes, everything changed. Body cams were requested. Security footage pulled. The officers were escorted from the terminal. A man watching nearby murmured, You thought she was just another black woman and nobody would notice. Later, Camille sat silently in the back of a black SUV as it pulled away. Her assistant, Marcia DeLuca, sat beside her, visibly shaken. Mom, are you okay? I'm tired, Camille said simply. Marcia glanced at her wrists, still marked. They're already spinning up media control. 3 video clips are circulating. Let them, Camille replied. The next morning, she stood behind a podium in the FBI's press room. You've seen the footage, she said. I was detained. I was handcuffed. I was disrespected not because of anything I did, but because of who they chose to see. I'm not seeking revenge. I'm asking for accountability not just from individuals, but from the systems that train them to distrust before they verify. Reporters hung on every word. One asked, Do you believe race played a role? If I had a different face, she said, I'd have been home 10 minutes after landing. That afternoon, she met the officers in private. No cameras. No angel. This, she said, laying out photos of her career, is a you handcuffed yesterday. They didn't speak. You don't have to be perfect, she told them. But if you wear a badge, you have to be better than your instincts. They left changed. Headlines blazed. FBI director confronts officers behind closed doors. Her calm became a symbol not of defeat, but of power without spectacle. Camille didn't seek interviews. She got back to work. A week later, she received a letter. No name, just a note from a retired officer. I used to think racism was something other people had. Now I know it was in me too. Your words didn't make me angry. They made me ashamed. I will spend the rest of my life being the man I thought I already was. She kept the letter in her desk drawer. The 2 officers were reassigned. One enrolled in the Bureau's new training program. The other did not. Months later, Camille met a group of students at the Bureau. One asked, Did you really take down 2 cops just by talking? She smiled faintly. No, she said. I just made them see me. The briefcase that hit the airport floor still sat by her desk. It hadn't changed, but everything else had. And what happened at Gate 37 would never be forgotten, not because of what was done to her, but because of what she did next.